So welcome everyone to our pre-camp reunion. My name is Elizabeth Bile. I'm the president and CEO of the foundation. For those, I think I was able to meet, I did not meet you yet. So hi, nice to meet you, welcome. And so we just wanted to start out by saying thank you very much for trusting us with your kids. The foundation does a lot of different work around education, advocacy, outreach, and Camp Achieve really is one of the best things that we do. It's the place that all of us that spend a week with your kids love doing it, and we will come back year after year to keep doing it. And so the point of tonight is just to familiarize you with what to expect and to answer any questions that you have. In addition to the work that we do around Camp Achieve, we are here to support families throughout the region. We have educational conferences throughout our 18-county area. We host monthly support groups in different regions. We provide one-on-one consultation services. How many of you have had Sue come into your school? It's a great support that Sue and our other resource coordinators provide to come in and do trainings for the school nurses, teachers, paraprofessionals, students, but also will help with IEP and 504 plans.
Stupid principal.
So Camp Achieve has been going on since 1997, and you've been here the whole time. Sue's been here the whole time. So we have one of our nurses, Barb, who's been here for a long time, and Sue's been around since the very beginning. So you can see, and our counselors, as Bintu mentioned, come back year after year. Sarah, this is your fifth year, and Bethany, you're like 10, 11, 12, I don't know.
No.
No?
Oh,
okay.
Kai's 10. Kai's 11 now, so.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, less than 11.
So slightly less than 11. Okay. And so Bethany, Barb, and Sarah are three of our nurses. We have nursing coverage 24/7 the whole week, and Sue will talk a little bit more about that when we get there, but we're really glad they can be here tonight because we know the medical piece is a big piece of what can cause anxiety when you're sending your kids away. Bintu, who hopefully all of you have at least received an email from, maybe a phone call, met tonight. Bintu, this is her second year with us, and we're really excited to have her as part of the Camp Achieve team and leading the charge. And Sue, as I said, Sue's been around since 1997, spearheaded getting Camp Achieve running. She joined the foundation, and the director at the time said, you know, wouldn't it be great for us to have a summer camp? Make that happen.
And I said, oh my God, that'd be crazy.
So now 23 is our 23rd year, and we're amazing to see the growth that happens each year. We had, we're going to have about 70 kids this year, which every year I say, this is our biggest year, and once again, this is expected to be our biggest year yet, and we're really thankful to have that opportunity. So I'm going to turn it over and let Bintu and Sue give you the details.
Hello everyone, welcome tonight. First of all, I just want to say you should be very proud that you were here, because a lot of parents did not make it to this point, but you did because you were open and willing, and you were excited about this new venture for your young people. Raise your hand if you've been, if your camper has been a part of Camp Achieve before. Oh, okay. So pretty much everyone else in the room is new. So we are so excited to have you. I'm fairly new as well, as Liz mentioned. Last year was my first year. I literally got hired in April and I jumped right in. But I was able to get a big experience that really helped me to shape my ideas for this year. You know, it was like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. When I got to Camp Achieve, I was like, oh my God, like all these parents, all these kids. But then I understood why the work that we do is so important, and why it's important to keep the children really safe and to have such a fun environment for them. Because for some youth, this is the only place that they can really be themselves. And that's what I see at Camp Achieve. I see kids shining their brightest, and it inspires you. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I teared up at Camp Achieve. Like, oh my God, this is so special. You know, so I can't wait for your youth to come home, your campers to come home and talk about the wonderful time we're going to have. Because at Camp Achieve, we have different objectives, right? Our objective is to have a great time, keep our youth safe, encourage a supportive community, and also to provide epilepsy education. How many of your youth have never seen a seizure? Okay. So everyone,
Someone else have a seizure.
someone else have a seizure, someone else. Right, so we have a lot of young people who come to Camp Achieve and have never ever seen a seizure. And the wonderful part about Camp Achieve, because of our medical staff and the training that we've received, the kids also receive training and they get to learn how to kind of deal with that and support one another at camp. So that's going to be really an interesting experience. So your kids might come home and talk about, hey, you know, Mom, Dad, this is what I saw. But we're going to teach them enough about epilepsy that they're comfortable and know what to do when a seizure occurs and to not panic and to have a great time and to just embrace everyone around them. All right, let's talk a little bit about counselors for camp. All of our counselors have background checks, all three. FBI, state, child abuse, criminal child abuse, everyone. If you don't pass your background check, you won't be a part of Camp Achieve, period. So you can be rest assured that the counselors are safe, and a lot of them most of them have experience working with young people. We actually interview counselors. This past week I interviewed about 7 new counselors for Camp Achieve. So even though, like Liz said, we have camp counselors who are, you know, lifetimers, I would say. Like, they are dedicated and they'll come every single year. But we also love fresh faces, new faces, right? That's always good to put into Camp Achieve because people kind of like matriculate out, or, you know, I just think it's great to have like new faces at camp. So although you guys may recognize some of the older campers, this year we have a lot of new people coming on board. Camp counselors, most of our camp counselors also have epilepsy, so that also helps. The kids find themselves being able to relate to the counselors because of that. If you are a young person with epilepsy and you look up to someone older than you and they have epilepsy like you, wouldn't that be comfortable more for you to be able to go to them and talk and be supportive? So that's one thing I really love about a lot of our counselors. They can identify and they're really comfortable with, you know, sitting with the young person if they're feeling maybe homesick or maybe not feeling as well. They can recognize and identify the signs of, hey, your camper needs to maybe rest or take them to the side, things like that. Rules and discipline. Counselors are expected to be at 100% supervision level. We don't tolerate any camper going off by themselves at all. So all of our counselors know that they have to be present. Of course, they know, a lot of people know each other and they may communicate and have a good time, but our counselors are very, very dedicated. They pay attention. No camper is going to be walking off by themselves to go anywhere. You go to the restroom, you have a counselor with you at all times. They also have co-counselors in their cabins, so it's not just like one counselor to a whole bunch of kids. Our ratio is 2 to 1. We try to keep it to 2 to 1. It can be two or 3, but we really try to keep it a really tight ratio because we recognize the importance of supervision, right? Okay. Counselors also do not bring drugs or alcohol, do not partake in drugs or alcohol at Camp Achieve. It's an alcohol-free environment, it's a drug-free environment. Medication, all they bring is their medications. They take care of their own medication. I think the nurses lock it up. I'm not sure the counselors, but I know that the kids' meds are locked up. So, like I said, it's a drug-free, smoke-free environment, nothing inappropriate. We encourage counselors to not be on their phones. They do have their cell phones, so it's not that no one's going to have a cell phone. But from my experience, counselors are very attentive. We don't really have an issue with saying, hey, you know, please get off your phone for the young person. So they're really like on point and they recognize how important it is to be supervise young people. The daily life at Camp Achieve. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what a typical day at Camp Achieve might look like. Camp Achieve runs on a tight ship, which means that we all have walkie-talkies. Every single adult there has a walkie-talkie. So there's never a time where you can feel like, what if my child has a seizure right now and we need help? First of all, the walkie-talkies, we can call for help immediately, but our counselors also know how to respond to a seizure that's under 5 minutes. If it goes over, they know to call a nurse, and then they know the next protocols. We also have golf carts. And so if we have some campers who may have mobility issues or we need to carry things around, excuse the golf cart. So we always have 2 golf carts at Camp Achieve to help, like I said, with the young people who may have some mobility issues. going up and down hills, or when you guys come to camp and we need to unload some of the items that the kids are bringing. Some people bring a lot of stuff. I say keep it light, but you know, a week feels like a month for some people, so we just go with it. But yeah, so it's okay because we want campers to feel comfortable. So you know, bring your favorite sheet, bring your favorite pillow, your sleeping bag, bring the things that make you feel more at home. So I do encourage that as the camp director, because if they feel like, hey, you know, I'm living here for a week, and the things that they love are there, then they won't feel as homesick, you know what I mean? So bring the stuffed teddy if you need to put it on the bed, it's okay. We won't laugh at it or anything like that.
Bring your unicorn.
Or your unicorn, yes. We recognize that campers, all our campers are at different levels, and you know, the meds that some of them are taking, that they're really exhausted. So if we identify that a camper needs to rest earlier than when our activities end in the evenings, then we'll have a counselor, hey, can you take her or him back to the cabin so he or she can get some rest. However, most activities do end around 8:30, 9 o'clock every day, okay? And then it's lights out. So it's like, take the young people back to the cabin, help them brush their teeth, everyone get together, and then go to bed. We encourage rest, okay? And this year I'm going to implement a little bit more rest moments in the schedule, because sometimes I get last year I got a little excited, maybe, put a lot of activities out there. But we recognize that, you know, perhaps if we just implement a little bit of more of a rest time for everyone universally, then people will feel more inspired to rest throughout the day. Because if it's too hot, you know, it might trigger a seizure, things like that. So we're definitely cognizant on what they need in terms of rest and activities. We don't want to overexert anyone. And please, if you have a camper that you feel needs a little bit more rest than the average, or maybe you need to let me know things to identify, please call me, email me, let me know, hey, you know what, I've recognized over the summer, this is what I've seen. Perhaps, you know, if he does this or she does this, this is an indicator that she needs rest so the seizure doesn't come. Agreed? Thank you guys. Because I feel like with Camp Achieve, this is definitely a process where we're going to work together. We're a community, you know. I get to be with your kids for a week, but you are with them for a lifetime, so you know the special things about them. And so I want to know those things as well. So please, feel free, feel comfortable. I have parents that say to me, oh, I'm not going to call you more. I know I've been calling so much. Call me all the time. This is my job. This is what I'm here to do, to make you all feel comfortable to do this. I mean, you're really leaving your young people with us for a week, and it could be nerve-wracking, you know? So I just want you to know that we are always here. And which kind of brings me to the next thing I was going to talk about, which is you guys will not be left in the dark in this entire process. We have social media, right? How many of you are following the Camp Achieve Facebook page? Okay.
Yeah.
I need to see more hands. Well, I'll tell you this. If you're not,
I don't do the Facebook.
it's okay though. If you're not following today,
You're gonna
you
see
might
pictures
want
of
to start
Michelin.
following, because we will be dropping pictures daily. I can't promise that every picture every day is all the kids, but it's going to be a lot of pictures we'll be dropping. I'll be honest, but you'll be able to see what's happening, in real time. So every day we're going to be dropping pictures, and we're also, how many of you have received a message on CampDoc about signing up your phone for text messages? Have you guys signed that? Okay, great. Please do, because we're going to try, there's something new this year that we're doing, in which we will be sending out some messages via text, like your time for registration, just something that's a little bit more faster, I feel, can get right to you. Some people, I have parents who will check their emails for days or weeks, and I have to call and they'll say, oh my God, I have to get to that. But I understand, you're all so busy, so it's okay. So we're just trying to try different communication methods to make sure that you guys stay in the know, and you never feel like, I can't really get in contact with Ms. Bentu or Liz. And I think that you guys will also have the Camp Achieve cell phone number, and if you don't, then you definitely will get another email updating that, okay? All right. Young people will be placed in cabins. In the past, we've done rings, and I think that we're doing away with the rings this year.
Would you explain what that means?
Yes. The rings were divided by age group. And so,
So we, yeah, they
It was
were,
a random
No,
mix.
it was random.
no, so when we were doing rings, we were trying to have
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
kids from each age group
Yeah.
were in a group together and traveled around to the different activities.
Yeah.
As we've gotten bigger, we've seen that has not been as effective for building camaraderie and also keeping track of the kids, making sure that, you know, you get from point A to point B with your counselor, and so we're kind of moving back to, they'll be in, their activity groups will be by age. So you'll be with the people that are in your cabin most of the time. Now, there'll be time for us to integrate and have some time where all the kids are together, and so they will, you know, you won't only be with 10-year-olds the entire week. If you're 10, you will get to, you know, interact with the 15 and 16-year-olds, but it won't be that, because we've just gotten to a point where sometimes there'd be one 10-year-old in a group, one 11-year-old, one 12-year-old, one 13-year-old, and you kind of, how are they gelling as a group? And so it's a little bit of a shift, and I think it'll be a good shift. I think it'll help our counselors as well as they move from group to group.
Thank you, Liz.
How many kids are in a cabin?
That's a good question.
It's usually about 10.
Mhm.
Okay. That's nice, that's
Yeah.
a party right there.
Oh, yeah, it's a little party.
Yeah.
And you know what, how counselors specialize, they sometimes, when they come to camp, they'll bring like special things for everyone in their cabin. So like to identify, oh, this is our cabin, so they might bring them like, everyone gets a bandana or everyone gets a bracelet. So just like camaraderie. So, and sometimes the kids also bring things for everyone else in their cabin. So if your camper's like, Mom, can I bring something? Like, if it's enough for their cabin, I don't see why not, you know? So that sounds like, that's very fun. I noticed that the kids like have a great time with it, and they have a lot of team spirit. Well, cabin spirit in this sense, right? All right, so let's talk a little bit about the schedule activities that we do at camp. So many wonderful activities. We have archery, swimming, wall climbing, low ropes. We have workshops that come, yoga, art, all types of different activities. Now, we don't force anyone to participate in any activity, but it's always encouraged. And one way that we encourage that is by also participating in ourselves, if we can. There are plenty of times that I've walked in a session and Liz is doing activity, or I'm doing activity, and all the counselors in the room are also doing activity, getting down with the kids and just doing what they do, what we ask them to do. Like, hey, you know, like this is cool, look at me, I'm doing it too. So it's never a time that we want to force anyone, because we recognize that some kids may not feel comfortable with certain activities and they might want to sit to the side. But we really do encourage it, and I think that for me, my goal this year is to have no one on the side. So we'll see how that goes, right? No one saying, I don't want to do this. And possibly just having an alternative activity for them while they're in that space. You know, that probably works better. Instead of forcing a child to do something entirely they don't want to do, but maybe offering something, but they're still engaged. I mean, it's really important for me to keep young people engaged all the time. Because as we know, idle minds, what do we do? We do some mischievousness, so we like to keep everyone in the flow of things. Also, we also have a wonderful activity such as Share Your Story that happens every year. I love that activity because it really allows the young people to share how they basically were diagnosed with epilepsy, what age, and allow them in any kind of way that they want to share it. They can draw a picture, they can talk about it within the group, but everyone kind of shares their story. And when I sat in a few of those sessions last year, like, I really gained a whole new respect, because, you know, I just always thought that maybe you were born with epilepsy. I didn't have any real knowledge. And as the counselors started talking about it, like, hey, I was diagnosed when I was in my 20s. I was healthy, and then out of nowhere. And it's like, wow, like, your life really changes. And I think that that's one of the most inspiring sessions that I've actually sat through. I think Mary conducts that session, Share Your Story. We also had Family Feud. We did Epilepsy Family Feud at the Young Adult Retreat. So I'm going to see how Family Feud goes this time. But the kids really, really love it. They have a great time. We have parties, a theme party. Well, the whole campus is, we have a theme every year, but the party is really what a theme really, I feel like, comes out. You know, like last year we had Camp Carnival. So of course the party was a carnival themed party. It was so much fun. I had a great time. This year's theme, does anyone know?
They probably don't, because it was on the Facebook page, but has it gone out?
It went out in email.
Oh, it did go out in an email,
Yeah.
okay.
I read, it was that document that had all the, I just don't remember what the theme said. I know it said it had goals, but
Yeah,
that's,
it's okay. I'm gonna let you know now so you don't forget it, okay? Because I want you guys to bring stuff with the theme now, alright? It's dive into the adventure at Camp Sheep, Under the Sea. So we're gonna be learning about the ocean and all types of fun stuff. So I'm really excited about that party. I'm already picking stuff out for it. Yeah, I like to party if you don't know. It's who does, okay? The kids had a great time last year. This is one of the best camp parties ever. I was like, thank you. Thank you, it's my first year. So, if a kid says it, it has to be true because kids don't hold back, right? Alright, so that's what I'm saying. So I felt good about that. So we're really excited about the camp theme this year. Learn about aquatics, the ocean, science. There's a lot of fun activities I have planned around that. We also have a session where the kids will watch a video on epilepsy education. Doctors will come up there and speak, they can ask questions, things like that. So like we said, there's this educational component that we just cannot ignore because we want every young camper to feel empowered and not feel like, oh, this is like a disability because I have epilepsy, Own your life, own everything, and just, as long as you know what's going on and you know how to handle things, you are empowered. You can do anything in the world that you set your mind to, right?
yes.
Thank you. Also, let's talk about food.
Yes.
Okay, that's important. That's important, right? Okay. Oh, before I talk about food, I definitely want to talk about also like the art therapy, like lecture, yoga, dance, the movement, all of that. That's so important to what we do. I mean, art therapy, drawing, all of those things are like really encouraged for people with epilepsy, with anyone really, because I need art therapy to calm me down sometimes. I'm a little hyper, like really, if you can't tell. Oh, you're gonna see. I got something for you. So those are all the wonderful activities, and then more like this. Like I said, there's so much more coming. You'll have a more a real schedule. Once you come to Camp Achieve, everything is going to be set, you'll see. We're probably going to send something out before camp starts too, for you to know, like, oh my God, this is what you're going to be doing. Should I come to camp? No, parents, you cannot come to camp. Okay, it's just for the kids. Yes, I know you thought about it. Who's thought about sneaking into camp? Be honest. But you know what though? We will have visitors at camp. That's the funny thing. Like we have young people who may not have been able to commit to a full week of camp for whatever the reason, but they will be visiting, or past campers who used to come and aged out or can no longer attend. I mean, if everyone could attend Camp Achieve, we probably have about, I don't know, 500 people here at camp every year, like 400 people. Like everyone wants to be at Camp Achieve. So, with our strict guidelines, and we just want to make sure that we always are thinking about how can we best serve the epilepsy community and, who this can really benefit, and the great part is that we see kids, like, has no seizure for how long? A year, seizure free, no longer on meds. That's a good thing. I know sometimes the kids feel sad and they're like, oh my God, I wish I could still take the meds because this feels like a real safe space for me. But that's why we have other things outside of Camp Achieve, like the youth council, and so those are other things that we can really talk about when you get to that point where you're aging out, like how can we still maintain a relationship within the epilepsy community and not feel like, hey, I can't go to Camp Achieve anymore. Does it mean like we have nothing to do for you guys? No, we do. All right, let's talk about food. All right, my favorite part, because I'm a hungry person. So Camp Green Lane, I think, has really great food, depending upon who you ask. But if you ask me, I have to go with it for a week. I think I'm there. But we do recognize that some people may not be able to eat certain meals, but we don't know that unless you tell us. So like if you're on a strict diet, like a keto diet, things like that, please let us know ahead of time, because some items we may have at Camp Achieve, but others you may have to bring. And if it's a strict diet where things have to be like weighed and things like that, you may have to bring your own food for that week, and we'll store it. So that's not an issue, but we just have to communicate what allergies or what your child can eat and can't eat. That's very important for us to know, okay? I keep track of all of that. Liz is very serious about that. We don't mess around because, again, they're on our watch, and we want to make sure we deliver them right back to you the way you brought them to us, okay?
Good job.
Yes.
Can we give Sarah a moment to, since
Yes,
she's
I'm sorry, I didn't see.
our keto expert, because I know that's the most challenging thing.
Yeah, so we've never had child keto patients, or since I've been there.
Woohoo!
And now we have like 4 or 5. So I'm thinking either like bring prepared meals for the week and we'll store them, and like, or if you have to come midweek to replenish, we can. I was thinking of like getting like a camp scale, so then you don't have to like worry about your scale being there. And then like if there is something on the menu that they'll have access to the menu.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll give
Yes.
access to the menu, and what has
If
happened
there-
before, a lot of times parents will,
Since like, can they weigh it out themselves? Because
Yeah, because if there's like burgers one night or something like that, like, or the salad bar is like lettuce or something, like we can work to weigh that out.
Yeah.
And I'll be there.
Could we do like sides, like if we sent him with ice cream and pizza,
Yeah.
and then, but if there was like a side there, quinoa. Is that-
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I just like.
yeah, so what parents
Just
have.
like let me, like, the meal plan part, kind of have it together.
Yeah, for sure, I don't want you to like have to do more work than you need to, but I think for him, like for us, that would be the only thing. Like if you saw other kids maybe eating some of the pudding or whatever, but otherwise he's not.
Yeah, or make meals out
I
of
mean,
it.
if he ate ice cream every day
Keto,
for a
similar
week,
to.
he'd be-
Yeah.
what's on the menu.
Yeah,
So what a lot of
exactly.
times what parents will do is they'll actually write us a list that
Okay.
this is what my child can have for off of the menu for this meal, and this is what we're sending as a supplement for that meal.
Okay.
So that takes the
Okay.
the kid doesn't have to remember, because we
Right.
don't want our campers to necessarily have to remember that, and especially if we're managing, I think 4 or 5 this year.
I was gonna say
That we have.
Yes.
I mean, Green Lane is really good because they will set space aside
Yeah.
so that we can be able to store food in their
Right.
refrigerators and freezers.
You can have our keto stuff if you need it, remember? We wouldn't let Brendan come until he was off the diet, because we were afraid of that.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
one thing, so now
A
he's
scale would be
off.
helpful.
We have 2 scales, so we'll get them, yes, you can have them. I've been trying to get rid of them. We have like a whole keto corner,
Yeah.
okay, no one will take this stuff.
That's good.
Right.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome, thank you.
And I know I walked in at the end, but I would say also if they have like a favorite meal,
Yeah,
even if it doesn't match what
Yeah.
we have, I would send an extra favorite meal or 5 if your kid's really picky, so
Yeah.
that can always be their meal,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that they're not going without eating. 'cause-
is there any like off-schedule eating or like the meals like when they are there going to be like when the kids are in school and they've got this food activity
Snack
or that thing?
I got
or-
you. I was going there next.
Okay.
Okay, let's go there. So, to answer that, okay.
Keto's fun, always, right?
We do have snacks, fruits and vegetables. I mean, not fruits and vegetables. Fruit and snacks available in the White House every day. So, like, if they are a little hungry, they can go in the White House and grab something, and they're delicious. They're fresh. It's always good. We also encourage healthy eating choices. So we have an activity called Snack Attack, and it's always a healthy kind of activity that they make some type of thing, but all of it is going to be very healthy.
And I think this year, especially because we have so many keto kids, the woman who runs it had done keto herself.
Yeah.
So we could maybe talk to her about like integrating something keto friendly into it, because even though healthy doesn't necessarily always mean that it's going to be keto friendly.
Right. Right.
Even if my kid just can do, make the food.
And we
She
would
doesn't
always,
care if
yeah,
she's
we
not
would always
gonna
let them make
consume
it, and
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
we've had
Yeah.
one before do that, they made stuff.
And then I
we
would
put
say-
Kai, and I eat it, or Caleb, because
Yeah.
boys will eat anything.
I would say the other time that there's kind of not unscheduled, but off-scheduled eating is on movie night. We usually we usually do like popcorn or chips or something, so
Right.
that's another time that we probably wanna make sure we have something for the
Right.
I think in the past, Mr. Akita's kids have had multiple snacks in the White House.
Yeah.
So that they
Yeah.
could
But the
snack
kid-
on their normal schedule.
Their meals
Yep.
could be like in the cafeteria, and then
Yeah.
we could leave some snacks in the
Yeah.
warehouse for them.
But
And then
this-
like if movie time they wanted like a freeze pop or something, like that's super easy to do.
Yeah.
Or like Jello, or you guys are more creative than I am, but.
Not really, we're still on ice cream and macadamia nuts.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound a bad thing, that's fine. It's easier.
But there should be no foods in the cabin, guys. That means don't pack snacks in for the cabin. We don't want any rodents in the cabin, any craziness. Ants. I'm telling you, don't do it. If you do it, it's gonna happen. Was it a skunk? We saw a skunk the other time under the cabin.
The food didn't bring that.
But it did bring something else.
That was just nature.
That was nature. But we don't want to have food. We don't have no gum, please.
Oh,
Don't have no
no
chewing gum.
Okay.
Don't.
That's a Camp Green Lane
That's a
rule.
Camp Green
Okay.
rule. So, but yes,
It's not nut free, right?
it is.
It is not
It
free.
is.
Oh, it is nut free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? What's wrong?
That
So like he eats
kills
macadamia nuts.
half of
Oh
it.
yes.
That
Mm.
kills
Like it's
half of the
free,
meat.
Oh, well, so,
Yeah.
nut free, their kitchen is nut free.
Right.
However, if we have a kid who, like a
Right,
keto
right.
kid who's gonna need to eat nuts, that's
Right.
okay, as long as they're not sharing them with other
Gotcha.
people.
Okay.
Yes.
So the stuff prepared there is.
The stuff prepared
safe.
there is
Right.
safe, yeah,
Okay.
That's
Um, Yes.
And
yeah.
our snacks that we have.
Yeah, and all the snacks that we bring
I
and
mean,
things
he's pretty
like
good
that.
about checking and asking, but he's awesome. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the evening activities that are really, really important that we all do as a community each night. So we have the dance. So I told you about the theme, Under the Sea, Diving Adventure. So that's like our party. We have a talent show. Just letting you know, most kids do go on stage at the talent show. Like we're literally sitting there and watching like 65 acts. Am I lying? Does anybody
No,
know?
you're not.
Okay, all right. So prepare your camper and let them know, hey, there is going to be a talent show, so maybe you want to practice your talent. Because I know kids who go in, like they're really practicing right now, preparing for the talent show. So I have parents who've called me like, guess what? They're doing it for the talent show. I'm like, it's only April, you know. So the talent show is a big deal, and you know what? Even if they say they don't want to do it, they might come to camp and change their minds because something about camp gives kids the gusto, or you know, like just it just does something to them that makes them feel like, you know what, I can do this. So you'd be surprised. We also have a movie night, like Liz mentioned.
Can I say something about it?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a big talent either.
No.
We've had kids go up on stage,
2 minutes, yeah.
throw a baseball back.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say.
And that's their
okay.
talent, and they're just excited to get up there and get applause for it, and they come down very proud of
Right.
themselves.
They're-
So it doesn't have to, and then we have the kids that are up there with their instrument playing and singing, so there is a huge range
But the
of.
best part about the talent show is the audience. They are so supportive of each other. It's pretty amazing. Somebody can get up and read the telephone book and everybody be cheering
Yeah.
and clapping. It's
And we
really.
try to keep them all at 2-minute acts.
Yes, we try.
I don't know why you're looking at me.
How long's your act gonna be? What did you plan
Are
already?
you kidding? He's gonna be like, no.
Well, I will say this. A parent did call me and told me that the campers act involves glow sticks, and we do not allow that at Camp Achieve, glow in the dark, flashing lights, things like that, just because that's the trigger for some people's seizures. So I had to let her know. Thank God we just had it was just a conversation. She wasn't even calling about that, but we just happened to talk about it, just tongue in cheek. So it was great that I said something because I didn't want to be the one for the camper to come and like now it's time to do this talent show, and they're like, I can't do this. I didn't want to break anybody's heart. So just be conscious a little bit about if you are helping your camper with their talent on, you know, things that are appropriate, you know. Just think about the sensitivities of everybody that could be there. And we also have Camper Appreciation Night, and you know, they come up, we applaud them, their counselors may have awards for them, say a few kind remarks. It really ties in everything that we're doing at Camp Achieve and kind of like allowing kids to like stand out and be acknowledged, you know, for who they are and what they bring. And each child has something special that they bring to camp. So that's the day that I really like. I do, because it's really happy. All right, so let's talk about some tips to get ready for camp, because you know, now you've heard all the boring stuff. No, it's not the boring stuff, but just tips to get ready for everyone to make the transition a little bit easier for camp. I think it's important to prepare your camper for the week prior to camp. So you don't want, especially if it's new, you don't want to just like wait until like a couple of days before and it's like, okay, now we're getting ready for camp, now we're gonna pack and all of that. I think you start to kind of, you wanna shake up the schedule a little bit, kind of start to place them on a school schedule because they have to get up early, so before 8 a.m. to get their meds, and then they're gonna go to breakfast. So if they're sleeping in late because it's summertime, you wanna start to maybe get them up a little bit earlier to kind of get them used to what's about to happen. Yes.
Okay, so Brendan's schedule changed this year, where he takes them at 9, is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You can, whatever time you're supposed to take it,
All right.
you will take your medicine. Like,
All
all right, Sue will talk more about the medical stuff, but everyone is up basically and getting ready for breakfast. So you're not going to be able to sleep until 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? Right. So that's why that's important. Start to get them in some activity that they have. If they've just been like watching TV or just hanging around, maybe start having them like go play a little bit, get ready to get a little bit more physical activity going. Social skills, building your social skills, get them around some friends and peers. Just talking to them more about camp. Hey, you know you're about to go to camp. How do you feel? Okay, all those things. Also, I printed out the packing list in case some of you have not seen it, and I'm going to pass it around in a bit. Utilize the packing list, please. Everything you need is on there. It's a really comprehensive packing list. It really will help you on this journey to camp. Everything you might need. If you have any questions after looking at the packing list, again, you can call me or email me. I live at the Epilepsy Foundation. That is my physical address. Also, personal cell phones are now permitted. Do I have to say that? I do. It's 2019. You always be like, text mom, what's going on? Like, no. Because, well, the thing is, some kids are really homesick, and if they have cell phones, they'll be calling, and everyone else will want to call. It kind of trickles over. It's like a ripple effect, And then it can't be contained. Once it's unleashed, it's like, oh my God, what are we going to do, right? So we want to make sure that we kind of keep them focused. That does not mean that if they ever requested, like, I need to talk to my parent, that we're going to say, no, you can't talk to your parent. But they'll have to come to the White House and proper protocol, use one of our camper cell phones and contact you. But it shouldn't be something that is every day, that we have to check in once a day or twice a day. We really don't encourage that. We encourage a little bit more independence, parents. Sometimes harder for you guys than it is for the kids, right? Who can admit that? So, somebody, yes, okay. So yeah, so please hold on tightly to their cell phones for the week. They'll be okay. They'll be in safe hands. You'll be able to contact any of us if you need us. So don't worry. Just leave the cell phones at home. It'd be a more rewarding experience that way. Even as for me as an adult, there are a lot of times I have to tell myself, put the phone away so you can really experience what's happening. Okay, light lifters, okay? So when you come to registration, after signing in and your meds and all of that, you will be checked, your camp will be checked for lice. So basically, if it's found that they have lice on the spot, last year they charged $275 to cure it before they can go into the camp. And if you choose not to do it there, then you have to leave camp, get it checked by another professional and all of that, and then bring them back. So I think it's best to really handle that at home, make sure everything is good, so that no one has to pay $275 or more. That was last year. The price might still go up because I'm still waiting for a quote. It went up from the year before that tremendously. So that's something to think about, okay? We do a lice check at registration. Okay. Yes, and also if you have received your acceptance and you requested a scholarship, hopefully you guys filled out the second half for the scholarship. If you have not, don't stress out. You still have time to go home and fill out your scholarship information, because within the next couple of weeks we will be contacting everyone about if you received your scholarship, how much of the scholarship it is, and all of that, okay? So once you were accepted, you were supposed to go back into Camp Doc and fill out the rest of the information. How many of you have already done that? Okay, and that's okay. And that's okay. Okay, no, it's good. So yeah, so I will be checking in on all of that this week. So you're never alone in this process. I'm here for you the entire way. So if there's something that I see that you have not done already, it's okay. I'll contact you, I'll call you, I'll email you, I'll stalk you. Who's been stalking me? So like, you're in there now. So I'll call you, I'll say, hey, you know, we just need this or whatever. So don't worry. I know sometimes parents email me and say, oh my God, I missed it. You will not miss a deadline because it's my job to keep you guys up to speed on everything, okay? We're just talking about some things. Yeah, and so, and one last thing before I go today. We're going to talk about the parent closing ceremonies at the end of camp. When you come on the last day of camp and everyone comes in. Well, I'm not going to ruin the surprise for you. Yeah, I'm not going to ruin it for them. Like, let me just zip it. I get excited. I'm talking too much. But we have closing ceremonies at camp, and you will be there at 10 o'clock. And you have a special presentation from your camper. So get excited. Who's ready for camp? Woo! Woo! I'm ready for camp. Yeah. And I'm sure if I missed anything tonight, my colleagues will definitely fill in the blanks. And again, I'm so grateful to be amongst a team of individuals who really care about the epilepsy community and our young people, the medical staff. I feel like we couldn't even do this without them, to be quite honest. Like, we have to keep them safe. That's really like number one, and then it's fun to me. Like, so just having them there all week on a volunteer basis and just responding to crises as they occur in such a calm manner has really shown me that, you know what, we can handle anything at Camp Achieve, okay, including your kids. Pass it off to Sue.
Can I just ask a couple really quick questions
Yeah, you
about
can.
all of this?
Yeah.
When you say send them like the things like blankies and the array of pajamas, like, do you have a preference for toys, no toys, so I can say to him,
I think
stuffed animals are okay, but let's leave the toys
let's
at
leave the
home.
toys at home.
Yep, okay, perfect,
But
thank
if
you.
it's like for sleep and helping him to like.
Yep, nope,
I was
that's
gonna say,
amazing.
if it's like 1 or 2
Right.
quiet time toys, cause they will be in their cabin for quiet time,
That's good.
So my question for that is, first of all, what time do they get up in the morning?
I would say
usually around 7ish.
Okay, and then they go to bed,
I like 9.
and so quiet time is for how long?
We're probably gonna do about 40 minutes to an hour break.
It's usually like short, like a
Short,
short
there's
spurts.
usually there will be something probably after lunch,
Right.
and then there will be again, like swimming time is broken up into 3 groups, and when your group's not swimming, you have quiet time.
But it's about 40 minutes at the longest.
If we have a kid that's like,
Yeah.
I need a huge break,
Well, my kid needs a nap, like he needs to go to sleep,
Okay.
but he won't if the other kids are swimming. So, and
Well-
it's not like I'm asking you to do anything, and I know we don't have to answer it now,
Yeah.
I need to, so that I will know what to tell him and all that other stuff.
So while, like, his cabin will swim and then have a break, and so it's like they'll either swim,
Right.
then have 2 breaks, or they'll have a break, swim, have a break.
And it,
Or
does it change
swim, or-
every day?
We did last year.
We
know.
have changed it, and the reason why, it's all within the same, like, 2-hour time period. Well, hour and 45-minute time
Yeah.
period. We have rotated it, and the reason why we've rotated it is because the storms
I
tend
was
to
gonna
come
say,
through
right,
at that
yeah.
time, and we don't want it to be the same group of kids that misses swimming
Yeah.
every
And
time.
what time of day is that?
That's in the afternoon. So what
Like
we're
what?
talking about, so it's usually at about, so that's from 3:30 to 5, yeah. And then, but what we are talking about this year, and we did it 2 years ago and then got away from it last year, is that right after lunch, everybody has a break for a couple reasons. 1, because everybody needs it. 2, it's usually the hottest time of day, and it can be pretty brutal. And the nurses were noticing, you know, okay, kids are having more seizures, they're not engaged in the activities, so let's try to give them some time to really rest in that right after lunch. But as Bethany said, if there's a kid who we know needs something very specific, we'll work with you and work with the camper to make sure that we can support that.
And if he wants to sleep in his cabin,
Well,
he can
that's-
come up to the White House.
That's what I was, cause he'll sleep for 2 hours, and that's a long day for him. So, and you do not want that kid after 2 days without a nap. So, like maybe we could just even talk once we get a schedule and we could kind of plan it, cause then if he knows that that's what that is, obviously that'll be fine, but, okay, that would be amazing, thank you.
Okay.
And then the afternoon break is great, but, that would be the, yeah, I mean, that poor kid, he's cursed.
Okay.
Cool, thank you guys. Oh, wait, I'm sorry,
Another question.
who are the co-counselors?
So,
Like I met the counselors, but like you said, like it was like 2 to 1.
So I think what she means is that it's not just one
person,
counselor to a cabin.
Oh,
right,
That
yes.
they work as, there's
Yeah,
the
they work as a
counselors,
team.
there's multiple counselors in each cabin.
cool, and they're in the cabins at night and all that other
Yes.
stuff too? Okay,
And they
cool.
have walkie-talkies, and they will have council orientation to know
Awesome.
all the proper protocols, all of that. And this year, we're actually doing something a little different. We're actually letting them come up a little earlier, a day earlier, do a more extensive type of training. Because we realize that we don't wanna rush this, you know, we wanna make sure that they understand, they really get familiar with the different campers in their cabin, like all of that, before they get on Camp Greenland. So we have something special planned this year, yeah.
Are there bathrooms in the cabin,
Yes.
or they have
Yes.
to walk out? Okay.
No, they're inside.
They're inside.
Yes.
Like, what the counselors are like are they college students or their age group,
That's a
or
good
like
question.
how mature they are, I was just kind of looking for a little bit of information like that.
Awesome. So our counselors vary. We have some college students, we have some middle-aged counselors, and we have older counselors as well. So it's a good variety mix of them.
You have to be at least 19.
Yeah, at least 19. But we have mostly like 20-something, 30.
And there's never just a 19-year-old in the cabin.
No,
Right.
no.
It's usually like that.
No, and if it's a more inexperienced counselor, like it was their first year, they're always paired up with the more experienced counselor that's been a part of Camp Achieve. Yes.
Question because of the heat. I know that the cabins are not air conditioned. Is there any air conditioned spots in the camp
Yeah.
for the kids that are
Oh,
super
yeah.
heat
Yeah.
sensitive?
The
Okay.
White House.
Yeah, it's the White House where the
Yes,
snacks are.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can take a cool off break.
The first floor of the White House.
The first floor, yes, the first floor where the kids come to take their meds,
Okay.
where there's snacks.
Okay.
So like, if sometimes we have kids who are overheated, they will walk into the White House and get cooled down, and it
Okay.
works out.
And if there's a kid who wears a cooling vest or carries like a cooling
Cooling
towel all the
towel.
time, we've had
Yeah,
a lot of
a bunch
kids
of
who do
those.
that. And then we keep a bunch of the cooling
Yes, we
towels
do.
around so we can give them out to the kids.
Exactly, yeah.
And fans are
And they're really
yeah.
suggested.
That's like the first thing on my list.
Fan, fan.
Yeah. On the list, there's a-
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I have a,
What's
oh,
wrong?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have an overprotective parent question. Oh. Is it a stupid idea to like send a little letter to the counselors? Cause I know you guys have all the information. I know, seriously.
We'll be giving them all their.
We'll be giving all the information, but we have had parents do that before and that's fine.
Is it stupid and the counselors are like, lady, you're insane?
No, nothing is
Oh,
stupid.
that was so nice of you. No, I know, you know, it's fine.
No, it's happened. I've gotten like multiple page letters before. It's okay.
I wouldn't do that.
Counselor orientation, we go over.
Each kid.
And sometimes it's
Each kid, yes.
Yeah, and sometimes it's nice, it's like, so if he's having a hard time sleeping, if he rolls on his belly, I rub his back and you put his stuffed animal under his arm, that's gonna make him feel more comfortable. Totally appropriate.
It's more like, you know,
You get to
he's
meet
starting
the
to hit
counselor.
things.
Yeah.
Here's what you
You
do.
get to meet the counselors, you get to talk to them.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, you sound like me when I first started.
She's not,
Did you?
I'm not new, I'm just,
You're new to camp.
I am new to camp.
You're in camp,
This
yeah.
is an overprotective mom
Does it-
question also. So I'm not concerned about my son having fun, I'm concerned about him having so much fun that he goes a week without changing his clothes, brushing his teeth, going
He
to the
won't,
bathroom.
he
Is there something like, hey, did everybody brush their teeth? I did it, yeah.
I started your laughing when I filled out the camper packet and it says, do they need coaxing? And I was like, oh my god, yes! You don't even know. This kid will go 4 days without brushing your teeth. I'm like, did you brush them? Let me smell your toothbrush.
Oh, yeah.
Brendan's first year, he didn't unpack.
You sure did.
He didn't unpack. He didn't.
You lived out of his
He lived out of it, so he wouldn't take anything out of his suitcase.
Only thing he took out was his sleeping bag.
That was it.
no, our counselors will say, hey, everyone, it's time to, you know, make sure you brush your teeth, all that, you know.
They'll give reminders.
Yeah, they'll give reminders, but make sure, that's why preparing for camp, let's have our talks with our campers.
I
Like,
have a question as well.
okay.
My daughter doesn't like to drink water. She just doesn't drink, like, she'll go days without, like, drink some water. I'm in pain, like, I don't feel good. She will not drink water. So, like,
We encourage it a
Will
lot.
they
notice? Will somebody notice, like
But does she
she,
just,
and tell her, have some, you know?
I usually said, like, she has a tea, iced tea at home that I water down, like a strawberry lemonade iced tea from Turkey Hill.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't like water.
I don't
Like,
like that.
I have
Can you
to
bring,
push
yeah, can you bring some of that with you?
And that way, like, during bed, we can give her a cup of that.
Because as long as like,
That's
because I
her
diluted,
substitute,
yes,
right?
and that, yeah,
Yeah.
and I just add water to
Because
it.
we're not gonna be able to convince her to drink water, she won't drink water at home, so if you bring that, that'd be great, and we'll just know that that's what she gets in her water bottle. Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
We're like at bedtime, we'll make sure she takes a cup of that in the morning and a cup of that at night, and that
Yeah,
way we know
because
she's
that's
getting
like
that
the
much
one way
in.
I get her to drink, I'm like, hey. And then if we don't have it, she's like, Mom, no, just no.
Oh,
That's
wow.
fine.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good to know.
The
That is really
counselors
good to
are
know.
great of reminding them constantly, and they're big jugs of water at every activity. So they don't.
But she's not gonna drink water.
No, I know.
Tell her like to drink it, but
Bring
she
some, and not like
And
she'll flatly.
I was gonna say, when she's sitting there with all her friends, she'll probably.
So they're
Yeah,
better
she'll more,
than you.
yeah.
Right.
Maybe not, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough,
You
yeah.
bring what she likes, and we'll just
And
make
you
sure
also-
you have her name on it, and we have a refrigerator, so bring enough, at least stick them all in the refrigerator, and the counselor that's responsible for her will make sure that her water containers full of it. It's perfect, okay? Yeah. It's fine.
So you also have Olympic themed camp events?
We've done that.
Oh, it's on the
We
checklist.
we do Camp Olympics.
Camp Olympics.
Okay, very cool.
Which is the cutest thing you've ever.
Relay races, all that. Welcome. I'm not gonna ruin it. Now, for the
Right.
kids.
I have another question.
Sure.
The
The medication,
meds.
I was gonna say
We're gonna
Sue's
go on
gonna
to that.
cover all of the
Okay. I just-
medication
you saw
stuff,
right
so.
where I
The floor is all yours.
Okay.
So we'll let, she might answer your question,
Okay.
if not,
It might be, yeah. If not, we've got three
Okay.
wonderful nurses here. As Liz has said, this is our 23rd year. It is fabulous to watch everybody grow, to watch the camp grow, to watch the campers, the new campers, old campers, and to watch them grow into counselors as well. It's really a very magical place. And I can't express that because you have to see it for yourself, and your kid has to talk about it. But we're fortunate enough to have 3 of our wonderful medical team here, but we have approximately 6 to 10 on ed camp every day. So we're very well staffed, and probably about 5 or 6 that stay over every night. So we've got a full medical team. And as Bintu mentioned, everybody has walkie-talkies, and we have a golf cart. It goes very fast. Although Barbara won't ride with me, but you know, she runs faster than I do. So, and aside from our medical team, we have Dr. Ignacio Valencia, who's been our medical coordinator, who's with St. Chris Neurology, and he's been our medical coordinator for about 13 years. I think we kind of lost count in there somewhere, but. We also have been in touch with Grandview Hospital just to let them know that we're there. We're not going to need them. It's not anything we need, but I'm a true believer that if we do it, we're not going to need it. So, but they're very good with our kids too. Registration. So when you come, you're going to register your child, and then you're going to baggie. Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot. Get out of my car. All right.
Wow. You miss getting in trouble.
I miss getting in trouble.
All right, you're good.
But after you register, then you're gonna go over to where we register medically. And Barb's husband is very good at giving out numbers so that everybody doesn't rush and say I was here first. But he'll give you a number, and then we'll call you up to a table where there is a medical person there to register you. And this is the time to make sure if there are any changes, any medication changes, any hospitalizations since we last talked to you, anything that is important to the well-being of your child, we need to know. And this is the time to do it. So, anyway, that's when everything's reviewed. Bring your child up there. They should help, you know, and the medical person is going to get to know them that way. But bring all the medications with you. Daily meds, rescue meds, everybody has to have a rescue med. Anything that is supplements, vitamins, or anything that's PRN, anything that they take every once in a while, Tylenol or Claritin, anything like that should be in their bag of meds too. All with their name on it. Did you find my bag?
I put it, I know exactly where I put it, Bintu just went to go get it.
Oh, okay. Because I worked hard on that.
Uh-oh. No,
My
it's
top
not.
is gone.
Well, I remember where I put it. I'll see if I can find it.
It's a baggie with my name on it, basically. And it has, it's as creative as I get for it.
It works, that's the thing you want. You
But
need
then-
all your kids have to have names on their,
Yes,
on
on
everything.
everything, you'll hear me say that like it is.
So when we clean at the end, the cabin, and we find, it's really helpful if your kids' names on things. Because it's a no-brainer.
But also everybody should have a pill box, a pill organizer, and the name should be on there. Do not fill it. You'll do that when you register with the nurse, or the doctor, or the nurse practitioners, or the almost nurse practitioners. And so bring it, and your campers should also be there to help you fill it, you know, and kind of understand and explain, which is what we do all year, all week. We try to get them to own it, to learn that they can. Give me a hard time. To know that, you know, what their medicine is, why they're taking it, when they have to take it, and that is really taught to them every time they come up and get their meds. That goes over. And so all medications have to be in original bottles, first and last name. We have a couple people that have the same last name. If your child has a BNS, that should be labeled as well. I don't know what page I'm on.
It's a vagal nerve stimulator, it's a special.
It's an implant that
It's
uses a magnetic or a magnet to start it, to get it going, roughly. That was clear. That's a quick explanation. Give a goose. Meds are given at breakfast, which is usually, well, before they walk up to breakfast. So it's usually between 7:30 and 8:15 that they're going to be getting their meds. If somebody needs it later, we make arrangements for all that. Everything is going, anytime they need meds is going to be accommodated. So if they need it at lunch or dinner or breakfast, please specify whether it's before a meal or after a meal, because that can be important as well. Bedtime, they get their meds right before the last activity.
Nice.
It was on the counter, the desk.
I almost broke my neck at the storage room. We had our walk, and we haven't exactly put everything away in the storage room.
Not yet.
But, you know, everything, all the medications, all the PRNs, everything that they get should be in this little baggie.
So are we providing the baggies, or?
And what?
We're providing the baggies, or they're bringing
Yeah, we
everything?
always provide it, but if they have it all together, that's a good idea. And if they have Clonopin as their rescue med, I would say just putting it in a baggie by itself, within the bag, yeah.
Not in a separate pill bottle?
If it comes in a pill bottle, that's probably better.
So ours are like the blister packs?
Yeah.
But I stick them.
That's fine.
That's great.
So they don't.
Not everybody has an extra bottle, so.
Yeah,
we're fine with plastic bags.
we get plenty of medication, so just need an extra bottle.
So you talked about like blisters.
Tongue twister, right? Lice.
So it's, as I said, it's our goal for your child to become a little more responsible about their medication and about their epilepsy in general, because they're going to be learning it without realizing they're learning. But during the week about their epilepsy and also how to talk to other people about it, and basically how to feel more comfortable with it. So we also, if your child self-medicates, if you have authorized your child to self-medicate, then that means you have to answer 3 questions, basically. Does your child regularly fill their pill organizer with or without supervision? Do they know the time of day that they take their medication, and do they know the name or color or shape of their medication and why they're taking it? And self-medication means that they go over to a particular box, pick their medication out of it.
Correction, I hand them the bag.
I'm sorry. Okay, you hand them the bag. It's completely supervised, so when we say self-medicate, it's not that we're just saying, go take your medicine. So you hand them the bag, and then
they're able to take out,
okay.
they might be like, what day is it again?
Yeah.
Tuesday morning,
Yeah.
they open their pill box Tuesday morning and take their medication.
Yeah.
And they're
Usually
able
they
to,
sign
and they're
off
able
on
to
it.
know, like, I usually take 5 of this, like there's only 4, they're able to do that kind of thing.
And they'll sign off on it, so we, and
So we're not
staff will
handing them
also
each
sign.
individual pill, we're handing them their pill box.
Right.
Yes.
Is the difference.
Yes.
Where our regular medicators, we will hand them each pill and they got 2 of this one, 3 of this one. Self-medicators, we give them the pill box and they hand it back to us. And we're like,
So
oh, Tuesday's gone. All right, well, I guess we took all their Tuesday meds. So you just need to be confident that they know.
Have to be really independent, you know at home for your kids, do you send them in, say, you didn't take your med yet, go into the kitchen and do it, and they do it, and you say, great, thanks, because you had to remind them. So we remind them, hand the bag to them, and they open it, take it themselves, and put it back into the bag and hand us the backpack. So if you feel comfortable with your child doing that, by all means, they should do it, because someday they're gonna have to do it, okay? But if you know that's a no-go, they may open the wrong one, or they're just, they can't do it yet.
They're gonna
That's
fumble
okay.
and drop them all on the floor.
Right, that's okay, then we, what we do is take it out of the appropriate place, put it into their hand, and watch that they don't drop it, and so forth, okay? So, but it doesn't, the main thing is, if you put self-administer, you have to know that although we've checked to make sure it's the right child getting the right bag, they know their medicine, and they know how to take it, and they know how to take it out of the box. If they can't do that, it's fine. They're just not ready yet to do that, so that's fine. And we don't ever make the decision, like, say a 16-year-old comes, and they're not self-administering, and the parent hasn't signed that off. Just because they're 16 doesn't mean we're gonna say, hey, how come you're not doing this yourself? No, we're not gonna do that. We're just going to accept that they're not ready. And, we're still going to be teaching as we go. We do that every day with the kids, as to what medicines they have and stuff. So, any questions on that?
So
Does
my
that make
daughter
sense?
self-administers, but she's a liquid. So
Okay.
like she pours it out of the
Yeah,
bottle, she
yeah.
knows exactly how much she gets, and she
Yeah,
does
that's
it
fine.
herself. You guys would just hand
Yeah.
her the bottle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
trying to
fine.
teach her at an early age, like to know what
Yeah,
her
that's great.
medication is.
That's
Yeah.
That
perfect.
she could go to the nurse
She
and be
knows
like,
to-
I need my medicine if she forgot it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can do that. Yep, she's self-administrated.
Awesome.
Okay.
And so our goal is for them to have fun, for them to learn that epilepsy doesn't define them, that they are so much more, and we see that in the talent show, but in a million different ways, that they can do things, the activities that they do. Archery makes me a little bit nervous, but we do the line at the zip line across the lake, but
Oh, goodness.
but when we first did the wall climbing, I said to Barb, "Is this a good idea?" And she said, "They're on a rope, they've got a helmet, what can go wrong?"
They're totally every kid that goes on is like strapped to the max, and there's 2 or 3 people, you know, helping. I mean, it's, you know, it's not like, bye, have a good time on the wall. You know, no, we're like so careful, but try to be, you know, careful in a way that it doesn't feel like we're hovering. You know, but believe me, we do not want any child to have an injury or in any way harm themselves. So if they're in a boat and they're out, we have special people that are with them in the boat who know how, if they should, for any reason, fall out of the boat, how to pick them out of there and get them back in. And it's not us. It's big strapping guys who have been, you know, who are confident that, and have training to do that. So all along,
And aren't afraid to jump in the lake.
yeah, and aren't afraid to
Right.
get their feet wet. But,
They're definitely not.
you know, so, you know, I mean, obviously kids get brush burns and they get, you know, they fall and they have whatever's. That's to be expected. That's because they're a kid and because they're at camp. And we clean them up and patch them up and send them on their way. And they have a great time. And so it's a good experience, but you don't need to be worried. You really don't, because we really.
We're gonna have a great week, so I hope you guys do.
Can you take my other 2?
Did we answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions? Please, feel free.
One thing I did want to mention that is new for this year, for those of you who have been with us before, those of you who haven't, it doesn't matter that it's new, but we are asking that everyone provide us either with the immunization record or a letter from your primary care practitioner stating that they're up to date on their immunizations. It's just an updated regulation from the American Camp Association, just because camp situation, high risk of spreading communicable diseases, and we want to keep our campers as safe as possible, and our counselors and our medical staff.
Do we bring that with us, or do we
So
post it on
if you,
CampDoc?
we don't have a space to post it on CampDoc because it happened kind of mid-year after everything was set up, so you can email it to the camp at EFEPA.
Okay. Which I check. Yeah. Yes.
Did you want to mention?
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry, right, I had another note. What was my other note, or do you want to do it?
Yeah, that's all right.
So the other thing, this is our, we're constantly monitoring where we are, kind of state and federal level with medical marijuana. For those of you who might have a kid on Epidiolex, that is an FDA-approved medication, so we treat that like any other FDA-approved medication. Unfortunately, you have to, nurses, doctors, whoever has to have a special license to be able to store or dispense anything that comes from a dispensary. So if your child has a PA medical marijuana card, we don't have the people on our team right now to be able to handle that. It's a conversation we can have with you, but at this point, about what that could look like, but at this point we don't have the people on our team to be able to dispense that medication. It's a liability risk for our nurses, it's liability risk for the foundation, and we're continuing to monitor as the law continues to change, and we'll keep you updated on that.
Quiet group.
Quiet. So who's excited?
Yes. I get to hang out.
He's excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pass it on to my daughter.
Oh, it's gonna be wonderful. Don't worry, guys.
No, we're not.
They can use it as a watch because it connects to their phone, so they don't have, and if they don't have their phone, it's fine. But just to have a watch.
To have it, to use it as a watch.
Just to have it, use it as a
Yeah.
watch, that's okay though.
That's okay. The issue that we found with cell phones, and we actually last year ended up doing a cell phone sweep, is especially with the older kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
I
know,
don't want her to
They're
have
up
it.
in the dining hall, like texting each other
Nope.
and texting their friends, and it's like they're not necessarily using it to contact
Yeah,
mom and dad.
no, no.
It's like we're at camp, we need to focus on camp.
Okay.
But camp has such bad service, you know.
The dining hall is the only
Oh
place
my
they
God,
can
so
get
just to let you know, it's not like you're gonna be living up.
So is your stuff on
Trust
camera, like,
me, I try to.
The only thing I would say about,
I sent a shot of information, I'm like, I can't grab it.
are we talking about smartwatches? Is that what you're-
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend not bringing it, just because I wouldn't bring anything expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's that.
There's
Then
that.
you're gonna have to charge it often, because it's not ever gonna be hooked up to Wi-Fi. It's
Okay.
gonna be searching, so it's probably not a good idea to have.
We can tell you the time. We can tell her the time.
That's okay.
Or just get her a
I
cheap
didn't
camp
think
watch.
about that it is like a.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to,
Pricey.
it's gonna have to sit there and charge, and she's not gonna be there to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
it's
Thank
probably
you.
not a good idea, because I don't wanna be the one to find out that a kid's crying that they lost
Good
their
point.
Apple Watch,
Yeah.
and then we have to go
Who?
ask everybody who got it, and there are counselors there, so it's like, alright, who did this, who we have to find?
She really
Not worth
needs to
having.
go to Five Below.
Yeah, and a $5 watch for camp.
We can handle a week without it.
No, you go.
Oh, yeah.
My daughter has braces and has this like crazy electric toothbrush.
Yeah,
Can
it's
she bring
fine.
that?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
fine.
there's electricity in there.
Yes.
She brushes her teeth. Yes, so.
If
she didn't have
Hopefully
the
no one
electric
will
toothbrush,
take
I
that.
would be very concerned about that,
Right.
her
No,
oral
she
hygiene.
Yeah.
Yeah, she.
I'm pretty sure that she can charge her toothbrush without worrying about someone taking it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was.
You never know.
You never know.
That's
It's an
true.
expensive toothbrush, but put her name on it.
You might wanna bring an extra head for her, just in case.
Yeah, right,
You really do know that.
Good call.
Seriously. Oh, mom, you thank you.
She just got them, so she's still learning how to maintain all the stuff in her mouth.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I wanna know which one of you is gonna tell Mitchell he can't bring his iPad.
Oh.
Watch.
That is your job. I thought about that when you were talking earlier, I was like, it's gonna be a whole week without
Mitchell's
that.
gonna have a hard time, that's all right, it's go up.
You just make it disappear when you disappear, and you'll
I've
be so
seen
busy,
other
you're not gonna
kids.
notice it.
Yeah.
I'm
Another
sure he
kid
would
who
be very-
is
yeah.
very glued,
Yeah.
potentially more than Mitchell actually. He went.
He didn't even ask for it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
We
it's
were
fine.
shocked.
No, that's a good thing, as far as I'm
Yeah. They're too busy anyway.
They really are. Can
Well, I think for us, we use it more as an excuse, like he needs to rest and he needs, and so,
Right.
that the structure will be built in like that,
Right.
that's, I mean, that is definitely a deal. That is a much better way to give a child a break.
Yeah.
So,
Just a random note is that CampDoc, you can always go online and update their
Yes.
information, so if they do have medication changes, please feel free to do that before you come to camp, just because with the awful service that we get and are trying to go through with cell phone, it does make it a little bit easier when you are checking in for us.
Everything's current, you know, make sure, you know.
And if you have trouble getting,
seizures or
you know,
anything.
getting on Camp Doc, you can always send us a message saying, hey, my kid went up on this medication, down on this
Right.
medication, or whatever the changes are, you can let us know, that we can update that.
just want to confirm, sorry, no, go ahead.
With the self-medication, you will tell them that it's their time to take
They
it?
all come
Or is it
together.
their-
Yeah.
Okay, so he just has to know how to take it, which
They're all
he can,
coming.
but he won't know
They all
how to
come
take it.
yeah, they all come
Not
together.
someone else take it and then,
Yeah.
yeah,
How often does it take meds?
just twice a day.
Well, so that's like-
One at lunch, 3 times a day.
Okay,
But
yeah, so the breakfast and dinner one will be like so easy, cause
Everyone's.
every single camper takes them
Okay,
at that
yeah.
time. And then the lunch one, we usually have a list of like the
lunch
short,
is just
the short
divided,
amount of
so
kids
that's
that
fine.
take that, and
Yeah.
we'll just call him down if he doesn't show up on his own. Our expectations will come on their own, and it's like, oh, it's 2:00, we haven't seen him yet.
Walkie talkie.
Yep,
And our counselors are
The
so great, a
counselors,
lot
yeah.
of them will set their phones or
Yeah,
their
yeah,
the
watches.
counselors
and-
they're usually more responsible than us, and
I
that's
know,
saying a
they'll show up
lot.
and I'm like, oh, it's that time already.
Yeah.
We're like, wait, they got 10 more minutes before I was gonna call them, you're good at it, okay?
Yeah.
Do you, I'm sorry, do you have a preference, so Mitchell does have the VNS, but we don't like ever swipe the mag for his for his seizures. Do you want him to sort of have it on him at all times? Like, yeah, I wanna know kind of what the rules are with
You
that.
can just put it in his rescue bag, it's fine,
Okay.
if you don't ever use it.
With his name on it.
Yes.
Name on the bag, name on the mag, yeah, okay.
Name on everything.
And just let us know what order you give what rescues in.
Yeah,
So if you
and
like
I'll
swipe
send,
last,
I'll send
then-
everything else, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
why I
swipe
just
last,
didn't know
then
if there were
swipe
rules, I
last.
didn't wanna, yeah, I don't know, yeah.
And we have usually one, sometimes two magnets floating around.
Yeah.
We'll
with
put one
our
on each
bags
bag
too.
that
Yeah,
two kids are in.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, like I
Yes,
said,
their
he
numbers
doesn't-
are in too, just in case.
So it sounds like what you're saying is if you want anything to come back home, put a name on
Right.
it.
Put your name on it.
Everything.
That's exactly.
Underwear, everything.
That's exactly what we're saying.
On each, there was one year I put his name on each sock.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Because one year he didn't come back with socks.
My child's bathing suit was on the year after camp, and they said,
tips.
do you want Caleb's bathing suit back? It probably doesn't fit him anymore.
Oh,
My kid didn't have a name on his bathing suit, so.
That was like a full year later.
It was a full year later, but I didn't put his name on his bathing suit, so. By the time we found it,
Yeah.
didn't fit him anymore.
She's very avid about having photos, like she likes to have her own camera and stuff. Like, is she gonna be okay to like have a camera to take pictures and stuff? Because that's like her comfort thing. She likes to be able to take pictures.
I love pictures too. What type of camera?
No flash.
Okay. I do have a camera. It's one of those Kodak ones that like the new ones that they had that look like the old.
Polaroid?
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
Polaroid one? Oh, I love those.
Like I love
I
that.
love those.
And it prints it. The
I have
page
right
is
there.
really,
How
she
did you
loves
talk about-
that. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, it's like she's gonna, if I send like an extra thing of film on, because it's like only 10
It is an
pictures for you.
expensive camera though.
Yeah.
So you may
Right.
wanna maybe
Put her
get a
name on it.
disposable one or something that she can do instead.
Okay.
These kids,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's up to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she's very like, that's her comfort
It's up to
thing.
you. If you feel like she's mature enough, it's up to you.
But it's, I mean, I would say same thing with the watch, that it's an expensive piece
And I
of
would say
equipment
we don't have a problem with things disappearing, but it's just always,
We can't be responsible.
yeah.
I just think, there's 10, imagine 10 of your own child in one small cabin with 3 counselors. It gets, you get a
A
picture of.
little nervous.
what it-
She's
what
a
it's like.
handful. She's
Yeah.
definitely a handful.
Oh, but they're fine,
Yeah.
kids are always better away from home, that.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, that's true.
And the hormone thing is not
Yeah,
fun.
and the routine of it and all, they're really, we don't really have a lot of behavioral problems with kids not, wanting to do, because it's fun. It's fun, and the counselors are so good, they're just so good.
Yeah.
They're really the cream of the crop,
They are
is the
really awesome.
counselors.
Thank you.
Most of them have been with us a very long time too. Chris Danila, if you met in there, was one of the original campers and has been with us steadily. So it's, they really know what they're doing, and they've been there forever. I mean, there's certainly, aside from the medical team, they are certainly in good hands.
Yeah, I mean, they probably see more seizures than I do, to be honest, so.
And I ran out to
No,
check on
we're
my
not.
kids, and every single one of our kids were standing in line playing basketball together.
Oh.
So they had them all playing together. Like,
Yeah, they were good when I went in there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
they were all one big happy group playing
Or
basketball together.
if they have.
All of them.
Everybody
There was
was good.
nobody at the table.
Really? Yeah, they
Even
were.
my kids, even Kai. Wow. Lined up in a line, all shooting basket, 2 basketballs, one after another.
That's all Maria.
Yeah.
That's all Maria. She can get him to do anything.
They were all doing good, yeah.
And if they haven't seen a seizure before, the first thing that we do with them is give them an orientation, so they'll see a short video, they'll learn about different kinds of seizures, and Dr. Valencia will talk to them as well and answer any of their questions. And when they go back to the cabin, they talk with each other about their seizures, and the counselors, and most of them have epilepsy or have somebody in the family with it, so they'll talk as well, what they might see from them. So it's, we give them, I think, a good orientation, and usually the first seizure they see, it's like, that's it, that's what mom and dad are worried about, But they see that it's handled calmly, and there are people around that are supportive, and it's really not difficult for them. I mean, they usually respond quickly if they see a seizure.
Mhm.
They learn first aid quickly too.
And Mary, who is our resource coordinator in the northern part of the state, she has written a little book about her personal story with her son who has epilepsy, who's not little anymore. But she has a little story that she does that she also, so they get her story about, she's a little doll that she calls Little Mike. And Little Mike having seizures and learning seizure first aid, and then does epilepsy bingo. So we try to, in that initial part, throw a lot of what is epilepsy, what might you see, how do you help a friend if they're having a seizure, and letting them know that they have a strong team around them, and that it's okay, that we're gonna see seizures during the week. It's okay if people have seizures. And I think that's what, for me, is the best part of it, because the kids really do support each other, and they really care about each other.
And little Mike is now big Mike.
Yeah.
He's been a counselor forever. Actually, he proposed to his wife at camp. He had met her at camp, so in front of everybody, you know. But the first year that he was a counselor, when the week was over, the first thing he said to Mary, to his mom, was, "Now I know why you're so nervous all the time." You know, it's like taking care of 10 kids. It's you know, you see it from a different perspective.
And any child who has a seizure, or who's like really tired, or, you know, heat is a problem for them, we make sure that they get rest. And there's always someone with them. Like, if we can send them back to their cabin, to their own bed, in their own familiarity, there's a counselor or one of us nurses with them, okay? They will never be left alone, ever, okay? If they need to be up where there's air conditioning, there are chairs and sofas and all for them to stay until, you know, they feel better and we can get them rolling again. So you don't need to worry that, you know, if, you know, they get cold or whatever, that nobody will pay attention. Of course we'll pay attention. And there always will be somebody with them, always, if they're feeling ill. You will never be alone.
Thank you guys so much for doing this for
Oh,
us.
this
It's
is
amazing. Thank you, because that's.
Thank you for giving us your kids.
It's, yeah, it's awesome what you guys do, so thank you.
I think sometimes we get more out of it, or at least as much out of it as kids do.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming tonight.
Thank you so much.